Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode, our third now, of our new wrestling podcast called The Stable. Now, it seems like, Joshy, that literally every time we get together and do an episode, we have more and less or new people.
Yes, but at least this time I brought someone pretty.
That's true. That's true. So let's go ahead and start out. We'll start out at the opposite end of the table and introduce our new pretty friend, and then we'll just work our way back down to the ugly end of the table.
Well, apparently I'm just a friend, so I'm.
You're my friend.
Them.
You're not my wife.
That is very true. That is very true. I am a friend to one of them and the wife to the other. This is Dr. Deb, and I think I have made this a stable for 3.
Ooh, nice. Candles
See what I
and
did there?
salad. That's what's next.
It is.
I don't know.
Candles and salad.
A little bit of light music.
That would, like, if we just had a candelabra show up here. Lit up.
I could put a menorah in the middle in honor of MJF.
We're doing it live at the moment, but it's one of those funny moments. Hold on, let's do a break, and we go run and get a candelabra.
Right. A little bit of the bubbly, you know.
She's going to go get a candelabra.
Oh,
It's going to happen. We're running live. This
gosh.
is Josh, by the way, the fake wrestling historian for the podcast.
That's right. The wrestling fact checker, if you will.
Sort of.
Yeah.
/ I have a computer over
That's
here
it.
if you see
That's
me
it.
looking.
That's it. That's right. And I, of course, am your host, Big Don. Thank you guys again for joining us on episode 3 of The Stable.
She put a menorah out.
A menorah. I mean, that is still technically a candelabra.
But it's
It
a messianic
works.
menorah, so
That's
now we've
it.
confused everybody.
That's okay. That's all right. We can
Yay.
explain that later
Don't.
on a third podcast
Right.
The
called
spin-off of the spin-off.
called
Just the cross.
just this.
Because we just pulled the T out.
T. It's just T. The T.
Anyways.
Anyway, so we wanted to share with you all a little bit about some of our opinions, from the last AEW pay-per-view, which was Double or Nothing, which was Memorial Day weekend. We obviously we did not record this on the day of.
I would have been dead.
No,
Yeah.
live reactions may be something we try in the future.
Yeah. I think that would be
would've been
fun. We
laid
can do a
out
live
on the
stream
table,
for
asleep.
maybe
because-
SummerSlam or
So,
something coming up in the future.
Those who are unaware, we're from Indianapolis, which Memorial Day weekend is also race weekend
That's
here, and 135,000 people joined a Deb at
Real
the
humans were there at the track, and it was amazing.
134,999.
Right.
Joined Deb.
Joined
plus or
me.
minus 1,000.
Right.
Exactly. Some wiggle room there.
But she also went to the little 500 in Anderson,
Right.
Indiana the night before, and
Yeah.
then Double or Nothing landed at 8 Eastern
Yeah.
the night of the race. So
I walked 7
I-
miles on the day of the race.
I think it would be interesting for people to have a discussion at some time, not necessarily on this podcast or maybe the gaming podcast, but interesting things about the state of Indiana that you didn't know, like the fact that in general, during the weekend or even, the month of May leading up to the 500, typically, these last 2 years have been a little bit of an exception for obvious reasons.
There's many exceptions.
But typically, there are a lot of races going on in anticipation of the 500 and in celebration. But in general, Indiana has a ton of different racing events that happen. Little, Metro, the Kitley Metro Dome is one I'm thinking of, and demo derbies and Lucas Oil, the drag track and stuff like that.
One of the racers at the Little 500 had won 2 races earlier that day.
Oh my gosh.
That had happened. So that was the third
That's
race
crazy.
he had raced that day.
Yeah, that's
So he was
crazy.
trying to go for a 3 for in one day. So it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
God bless you all in AEW. But holy cow, you're trying
Right.
to kill me. Because
at least do it on the weekend before.
yeah.
Or at least Saturday.
yeah. At least because
It was great though.
Yeah, no,
it was
absolutely.
great.
The show
We're not-
was
this
great. Yeah, we'll
not
get there,
complaining.
but-
we're crying a little bit
Yeah.
because obviously it's a big weekend for a lot of us, especially those who are race fans. Josh and I, not necessarily one of those, but we're spending time with kids while our your family is at the race.
But when Double or Nothing is on Saturday, at least
Yeah.
when my wife is at the race and I'm hanging out with the kids,
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with the kids. I get to watch the race. She's up doing her thing. I'm watching the show. But it's okay. It was on Memorial Day on Sunday. I mean, and we made it work out.
And it was
an excellent show.
It was excellent. It was so good. It was so good.
We're probably just gonna highlight a few of these things. I know that Deb didn't get to see all of it, and Don didn't get to see all of it, but I can talk
past
a good amount to it. And then we also want to give some credit to the What Culture guys, Simon Miller. If you've not checked out What Culture Wrestling, please do. And Simon Miller's Ups and Downs series. He watches wrestling shows, so you don't have to tell you whether or not they're any good.
He's great. And Adam Cleary, his partner in crime, who does the NXT reviews.
Yep. Yes.
Apparently, Adam Cleary is like the COO of What Culture.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Who knows?
My wife Bonnie and I have independently, which is really kind of strange, subscribed to several of the What Culture channels because they do more than wrestling coverage.
They're a whole network.
So they have
a lot of
they have a
stuff.
Doctor Who, they have Star Trek, they have all kinds of stuff.
So if you're looking for some American folks,
that's right.
Anywho,
all the hearts, all the flowers.
That's it.
so
Love you guys.
we're going to go through each of the matches. We have a little bit we can talk about some, a lot we can talk about the other. But I think we're just going to start from the very beginning. So all Elite Wrestling does before most of their pay-per-views, some of you watching, listening, whatever, may or may not know this, they do what's called the buy-in. And particularly at Double or Nothing, there's a lot of poker theming because their first show as a wrestling company was Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. So it's kind of a big deal. So they stuck with that. So the buy-in is usually just like any wrestling pre-show, they kind of tell you what you're about to watch, but they will usually do some sort of match. And man, they kicked off with the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance's Women's World Champion, Serena Deeb, taking on Rio, the first ever AEW Women's World Champion. And it was a clinic from what I remember with it. And I know the biggest thing is that Serena Deeb has a history from WWE. She was a part of the Straight Edge Society with CM Punk and has gone on to, she actually defeated Allison Kay, I believe, for the NWA Women's Championship and has held on to it kind of since then. And she's defended it in AEW, and she, with NWA's getting ready to have a pay-per-view, I think this Sunday, I think they're having one, or so June 6th, depending on when this drops. And this was just a really great match. And interestingly, they're usually both faces, but right off the bat, they had to kind of establish that who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, gal, girl, whatever.
Lady.
Wrestler.
I have an idea.
Wrestler.
We'll coin a term. Face and heel.
Face
How
and heel,
about that?
that works.
All right.
Yeah.
Face is heel.
So Serena very much played the heel because Riho is 95 pounds soaking wet and is taking the role of the underdog in this instance.
Riho is the one that Kenny Omega trained, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, or they have a really close relationship.
Didn't they do a mixed tag? They've done mixed tag
New
work
Japan
together
and stuff like that.
And I'm not positive on this. I had heard a rumor, so this is just a rumor, that there is a clip of Kenny Omega wrestling like a 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And I think it's Riho. But I'm only stating that
I've
as a
seen
rumor
that clip.
I don't know for sure.
But I don't know if it's Riho or not.
But he's really into the Joshi wrestling, the women's Japanese wrestling. So it's a big reason why a lot of those women are getting opportunities in AEW, including Riho. So, I tell you, Serena Deeb she is almost like the AJ Styles of women's wrestling right now. Because she can do it all and she can make anybody look good.
Yeah. Well, she didn't have to work that hard to make Rio look good. Rio looks really good for under 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And they were able to make both of them looked so good. You know, you want both of them to look strong. Have we said who won the match?
Serena retained.
Yeah.
Sorry if I didn't say that. Serena retained her NWA Women's World Championship.
But Rio still looked good and looked really strong, which is what you want. You don't want a squash match for the buy-in, but you want it to look solid and get people's attention. And the fact that they had the women's match, NWA, that they trusted them to be able to do that, and it sounds like they put it in great hands. I mean, from all of our opinions,
that is definitely a conversation that will come up, I'm sure, with this whole Tony Khan being the quote-unquote forbidden door and allowing the interrelationship between Impact and NWA and AAA, New Japan, that Serena is one of the ones that Serena and Thunder Rosa, in particular from the NWA, have really kind of made names for themselves now in AEW.
I really like Thunder Rosa.
I think
Yeah.
it's oh yeah,
Well,
and she's
she's coming.
Awesome.
the number one contender.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
We'll get there.
I
We'll get
cannot
there.
wait.
That's later.
Boy, I can't wait.
Keep going.
That's so good. Let's see. From there, any other comments on that one?
No, it was
No.
a solid start. It was-
So show kicks off. Of course, they do their video promos, which AEW is continuing to get better and better at all of their video promos, and they've got a really good production team there. Everyone knows that WWE is like top notch when it comes to their production promos, but AEW is really kicking it up, and they're getting better and better and better. But from there, they start off the pay-per-view with Brian the Machine Cage versus Adam Hangman Page. As Simon Miller said, it was Cage and Page
In a rage.
In a rage. Or something along those lines. And man, if anyone, Adam Page did end up defeating Brian Cage by pinfall, and there is, what's interesting is that Brian Cage should not be able to do some of the stuff he is able to do.
That dude is massive. That dude
agree.
is massive.
how does
He's
agreed.
he is they call him the Machine for a reason. He's just a walking wall of muscle, but somehow he's just as athletic, he's just as strong and as fast as any other wrestler on the roster right now.
And outside of, and this is something that I was talking to you about, there is a YouTube channel that I watch every once in a while. I am not the biggest fan of and this is going to sound like it's on a tangent, and I promise you there's a purpose for it. I'm not a huge fan of ASMR, but there is a channel that I subscribe to called Dr. Bo Hightower. He is a board-certified chiropractor, and he does a bunch of other muscle manipulation and readjusting and things like that. And I watch him on YouTube, but the reason that I bring him up is because he's actually worked on Brian Cage, and he does a ton of work on other wrestlers. So he's worked on Bobby Lashley, he's worked on Miro, he's worked on Lana, and really where he got a lot of his start with that area of expertise was he would work on UFC fighters.
Oh, sure.
So he's worked
yeah.
on John Jones. He's worked on a ton of other people. But anyway, but I got a chance to watch the one with him and Brian Cage, and Brian Cage and he are just going back and forth in their conversation, and it's not just two guys yucking it up. They're talking about human anatomy and all of these things, and Brian Cage is extremely smart when it comes to that sort of thing. And I don't know if that's just kind of an error because he was a bodybuilder before he got into wrestling and stuff like that.
Could be.
But I mean, he was staying on top of it with the doctor, so it was really interesting. But
Interesting. The tangent though is that we're speaking about Brian Cage.
yeah,
But Adam Page is the one that won the match.
I know.
So that's not to take anything away from Adam.
No.
Here's the thing
That
about Adam
dude,
Page.
man.
He's the star.
Oh my gosh.
If they are gearing MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, as the top heel for AEW, they are
Yes.
prepping Adam Page to be their top face. Now,
Yeah,
mind
he
you,
is.
they're not in those roles right now. Obviously, Kenny Omega is kind of handling the heel position at the moment, and the face role is. I mean,
It's a little up in the air
right now. Cody Rhodes
Cody
is
Rhodes.
probably.
But I think it's interesting because you have an organization that is a whole lot of anti-heroes.
Oh yeah.
You got some really great heels. You got a few really good and recognizable faces, and then you got a smattering of anti-heroes all over the place.
Yeah.
But Adam Page, ever since he stepped away from the Elite to kind of venture out on his own,
Yep.
and yes, he's had help from the Dark Order, but he hasn't joined the Dark Order.
Gosh,
Dark
I
Order's
love those
friends. That in
That
itself,
whole storyline is great.
they are just. Adam Page is going to be the star, and if things go the way a lot of people, a lot of analysts, our personal opinions go, I suspect we're going to see Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega at All Out, and Adam Page is going to finally win the AEW Championship. I think that's where this is going. We still have Fyter Fest sometime this summer. We may have what was called Bash at the Beach, but I believe they've given up that name so that Cody could get his last name back. That's a whole other conversation. But I suspect that
He had an identity crisis, and it wasn't
He-
brought on by
I was
himself.
going to say he never had the crisis.
But Adam Page and his, my goodness, that buckshot lariat.
It's awesome.
It's one of the best finishers in wrestling right now.
And ironically enough, like I compare his buckshot lariat, though it's executed differently, to like JBL's clothesline from Hell.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who he was inspired by. I think he actually inducted him in the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, and I cannot remember the name of the wrestler. But anyway,
Blackjack Mulligan, maybe?
No.
Well, he was part of the new Blackjacks, but that is not something I was just randomly holding on to. I just saw that a couple of days ago.
Sure. But Adam Page is not a huge dude. Like
No.
height-wise,
No.
bulk-wise. But when he pulls that move off, man, you'd think that dude was 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Like he pulls that buckshot lariat off so well.
But then again, now we come back to Brian Cage. Brian Cage suplexed him off the top rope out onto the stage.
Yeah.
And Adam Page is not a
That-
small man.
That poor stage. He got
Why did they
abused.
it did. That
stage
poor
got
stage
abused.
was the hero of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It took so much.
That's right.
Then that match was then followed up by what
Crazy.
I'm hearing from so many people, and I would have to agree was probably match of the
Nuts.
night, was the Young Bucks defending and retaining the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Wild Things, Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. And I don't think Wild Things is like an official tag team name for them yet, but when John first came out to the original version of Wild Thing, I was like, okay, this is cool. But nearly everybody of our generation remembers the movie Major League with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
coming out to the female like rock version of Wild Thing. So Kingston and Moxley came out to that version of it.
Yeah.
And I thought 5,000 people in
Really
Jacksonville were going to
lose
blow that
their-
roof
yeah.
off the Dallas
Oh,
place.
yeah, man.
Now, I'm going to talk about the audience more when we get done with this.
Yeah.
But they were already pretty well into it at this point, but this took it up to another level that and again, we're coming out of the pandemic, hopefully the sooner rather than later, and we really start to see this crowd so excited to be there. And then
Well, I thought they were just going nuts. Now, they had to stay in character and they have to perform, but you could tell they were getting so much energy from the crowd and finally being able to perform.
It was like watching WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's
when
what
they
it felt
did
like.
WrestleMania in front
Yeah.
of, what was it, 16,000?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something
And
like that. Yes.
No, it's 25.
It was 25.
25.
Sorry,
But
yeah.
I mean, still, like,
Yeah,
just
that
yeah, you
feel of
the idea that
there
you-
are real human beings
Right.
that are really going to cheer us
Well,
right now.
I mean, on a side note, when you and I went to Squared Circled Expo,
Yep.
which I still can't say it correctly, but it's okay. There were 300, 340
There were 300 people in one room, but you'd have thought it was 1,000.
It was insane. And of course, there were tons of times when it was like the volume was low, but you kind of expect that out of an indie show.
Yeah.
And when you don't necessarily know exactly what the card is going to be or what might happen during the night or something like that. So yeah, I thought that I felt the same way about the 300 people that were in that room. It was
Yeah.
like, man, this feels so good to be in a room with people who are excited about wrestling and the show. Anyway,
So no, I want to get back to them because their role very much clears up in the main event. But this match, the Young Bucks, I'm stating it. I'm not the only person that states it, and I'm going to say it directly into the camera. The Young Bucks are the greatest tag team in professional wrestling right now.
Whoa.
Josh, I'm going to be as
Josh.
definitive as I can about it. What?
I'm going to need you to calm down.
I don't know if I can because, and especially since they switched to heel.
Yeah,
my
they are
goodness.
much better heel.
Yes.
I mean, I love them as faces, but
There's a freedom there for these guys, and you just want to punch them in the face.
Right.
Yes.
And
in
you
all the
love-
right ways.
And you love watching them punch other people, get punched in the face. But on the same note, you're not mad when they walk away the champions. Now, there's shenanigans. I can only deal so much with Gallows and Anderson.
yeah,
and there's-
distractions and things like that.
But most of the distractions didn't work. And
Right.
it just took, was it 4 BTE triggers to John Moxley to finally
Yeah.
put him down because
Well,
that man's a psycho?
Kaz came out, right? Kazarian came out and
No.
who was it? Who was it that came out and fought off the Good Brothers?
Oh no, I
thought it was Frankie.
Goodness gracious, as I sit here and look at everything.
I was going to say, if only we had some.
Oh, look, yeah. No, there was not
so.
much of anything. Like, they came out, but Brandon Cutler's the one that ate one of their finishers. I don't know if you saw that. Brandon Cutler was just spraying Matt down with the cold stuff, and then he ate a finisher.
Yeah.
No, they weren't too heavily involved. They got involved in the triple threat match later. Now that I think about it, they have been involved in their matches before, but this one was pretty good. But they're still, I mean, they're heels. I'm not big on the shenanigan finishes. That's what we can have. God, there's so many conversations that can come out of this. Just so much.
We got time.
But the Young Bucks, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. This is allowed Eddie Kingston to be the Eddie Kingston that everybody wanted him to be, and he's so entertaining.
Yes.
And I don't think there's anybody in the business right now that cuts as good of a promo as him, except maybe Paul Heyman.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree.
Yeah,
with
right.
Yeah.
Great. We're gonna be a podcast. This one we agree on everything. The gaming podcast, it's all.
Well, and I think that even people like CM Punk has made that known that he feels like Eddie Kingston is probably one of the best, if not the best guy cutting promos right now. Because he's just, I mean, you can tell the guy just sits in his bed and is like, how many non sequiturs can I come up with that will tie back into me punching someone in the face? Like, it's like legitimately the guy is just extremely talented with being present and being, engaged and being convincing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that's really what it's about, is he has that passion to want to cut a good promo, because the passion that he actually has is going out there and wrestling in a ring.
Yeah.
Yes.
And showing that through his words.
And pairing with Moxley, who also has a deep a desire for to connect with the character that he's presenting to us now as Jon Moxley, as opposed to the character that he played in WWE. And he really, I mean, he goes into they both in that kayfabe, and they bounce off of each other with what they do. They are so ridiculously, I don't know. They're ridiculous in all the right ways. Like some of the promos that they do, I'm just like, this is so crazy, and I love every minute of it. So you can tell that they worked on it, that they are working together to develop these characters together. And this wasn't just words shoved in their mouth, but like the way they're portraying this matters to them, which means that I am way more willing to invest myself in the story they tell.
Yeah. So next up on the card was the Casino Battle Royale. And I'm going to simplify these. A lot of people I've heard talk about it say, I don't understand the rules of this. The rules are actually pretty simple. In a deck of cards, there are 4 suits. Hearts, diamonds, clubs, spades. There are 21 people in this match. 4 sets of 5 get a suit. There are 5 hearts, 5 spades, 5 clubs, 5 diamonds. They come out in sets of 5. And then the 21st person is the Joker.
Yeah, it's like a wild card
kind of guy. It's so far has always been somebody nobody was really expecting.
Right.
The last 2 were Brian Cage was last year.
Yeah.
And this year was completely unexpected was Lio Rush.
Right.
And Lio Rush, who left WWE and was making a name for himself in New Japan as part of the Junior Cup, I believe. And then he also did some work in MLW. As a matter of fact, he was one of their champions, or middleweight champion, I think.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, he got into this match and was eliminated within like 2 minutes, but it was still nice to see him because Matt Sydal didn't last long. When did I get that incorrect? Brian Cage was 2 years ago. With the first Double or Nothing, I think. I don't remember. Something along those lines. But
look it up.
I don't have time to look at it because we're already kind of gone a lot faster than I thought we were. That's okay. But anyways, this came down to, with all the people that were in it, definitely check out Max Caster from the Acclaimed riffing on the first few guys. Watching Powerhouse Hobbs and Christian Cage fight like throughout the match, only to it come down to the final 3, which were Matt Hardy, Christian Cage, and Jungle Boy.
Yep.
And there's a moment where Matt talks to Christian, and it's like, we have a history. It should come down to the 2 of us, 2 icons or whatever. And Christian's like, yeah, I agree. And Matt turns around, and Christian immediately throws him over the top rope.
Because that's what you do.
That's exactly what you do.
Exactly what you do.
And it comes down to the cagey quote unquote. Hint, hint, pun, pun. KG veteran Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy. And again, much like they're doing with Adam Page, whom I believe they are prepping for a world title run, Jungle Boy ends up winning the Casino Battle Royale, and he's going to get a world championship opportunity at Kenny Omega. He will not beat Kenny Omega this time.
No.
However, he will show how good he is, and do not be surprised if he's in the TNT title picture not far behind.
Well, and Jungle Boy is
a great opportunity.
How
for
old?
Jungle Boy.
23,
That's what I was going to say.
24?
He's not even, not even through his mid-20s yet.
No.
And that guy is incredible.
Yeah.
He is
97.
That's
he was born in
insane.
97.
So that
23.
means 21, so
Gross.
he's 23.
That's
He
so
turns
gross.
24 this year.
Yeah.
But going
And-
against Kenny Omega is a phenomenal opportunity because Jungle Boy will be able to show his skill set, which is great, and he's going to show it against the foil of Omega, who is pretty much phenomenal. He's not the phenomenal one. No, he's not. But he's awesome.
He's real close.
He's real close.
He's
Exactly.
real close.
So that should, because you want to show off that skill set in front of someone who can sell it well, who can who's going to get the timing really great, because even if you don't win, you want to look great not winning.
Well,
and Omega will do that.
And real props in this Casino Battle Royale match to Christian Cage for Christian Cage is at that point in his career where he probably could say, look, I want a world title run. And he would probably earn and be given a world title run. But it looks like he's taking the approach like Sting is doing, which we'll get to him in a minute, about building up the stars of the future. And that back and forth between him and Jungle Boy, only to have Jungle Boy end up getting the win, and watching the crowd get behind Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
like, nobody was going to be upset if Christian won, but they certainly were behind Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, and
okay.
then to turn around and get back in the ring and celebrate with him
Yeah.
Yes.
his victory. I think that is such a cool thing. And
Great
I did
moment for
not
Jungle
I
Boy.
did not know this. But recently Josh gave me the information that Jungle Boy is Luke Perry's son.
Yeah.
And I was like, man,
Jungle
how-
Boy Jack Perry, as Jim Ross would call him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what I think is just so sweet about that and so poetic about that is very similar to, I mean, obviously Luke Perry was never a wrestler, but I can imagine that if his son is so involved with wrestling as he is, he was probably a lifelong fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to not only be able to,
Well, I think Luke was in at a couple of WrestleManias.
Was he?
Or at least
Okay.
one.
Okay.
I'm not positive on that, but
anyway,
remember
but,
his face.
But I'm just saying, like, to be able to know that what your life's pursuit is currently is something that you shared with your own dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that hits such a sweet spot for him as well. And even if it's not something that ends up being a world title run, but just to be able to be in the ring with Kenny Omega, first of all, I would pay an arm and a leg just to be in a ring with Kenny Omega. I'll take a Shining Wizard. I don't care.
Right.
Like,
Put me down.
you know what I mean? Like, even if it puts me in the hospital, if throw me in a one-winged angel, I'm down. I'll lay there for the rest of my life,
Yes,
probably,
doctor.
because, you know.
So on WWE.com,
Okay.
giving proper credit, when Luke Perry passed away, they commented, it was noted that he was frequently spotted at ringside for Los Angeles area WWE events.
Right.
He once shared the ring with The Miz on SmackDown.
Okay.
And even appeared on an episode of The Edge and Christian Show in 2016.
Oh, and see, that's kind of a cool
Nice.
touch,
Yeah.
too.
Decorated actor once described watching WWE as one of the easiest ways for him to feel like a kid again.
That's cool.
And it takes
That's
me back
cool.
to my childhood, is what he
That's
said.
cool. And then,
so,
and
that's awesome.
and his son has gotten a chance to
Yeah.
carry that legacy into a completely different life pursuit. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's just really cool. I
Yeah.
think that's so neat, and I think that
It's a great feel good.
not taking away from Double or Nothing, but something that we got a chance to learn at that Squared Circle Expo.
You got it right that time.
I did. I was going to say that, but I figured I'd let you take it. Was when we went to the Jake Roberts panel, and his Q&A was just incredible. And all he could talk about was how much he loved working for AEW and how different that environment is. And I just think that you can see that in the way that their talent is cultivated, in the way that their stories are written, in the way that their people don't want to go anywhere else.
Speaking of story,
Yeah.
the next match on the card was Anthony Ogogo versus Cody Rhodes.
Right.
And I have to agree with Simon mentioned this. There was not a ton. I mean, there was story to this, but there wasn't a lot. And primarily the story that's going on is the Nightmare Family versus the Factory. Cody Rhodes' group of trainees versus QT Marshall's group of trainees. And Anthony Ogogo is a bronze medal. I think it's a bronze medal boxer for the U.S. Olympics.
Yeah.
For the Olympics from the UK.
From the UK, yeah.
Who is now, the reason why he's no longer a boxer, 78% blind in one of his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already amazing that he's able to do what he can do. And if you have not seen this match, watch it to watch a go-go. Cody is good. Cody is, as a matter of fact, I think is great. But a lot of people have their opinions about Cody, and I don't want necessarily, because Cody ended up getting the win here, which I think was the right call with it being Memorial Day weekend. He was going by the American Dream.
Right.
And it was Britain versus the U.S. And anytime you see those storylines,
especially on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I don't want to see see the U.S. lose in that instance.
Right.
But especially on that weekend. But I also understand where Simon was coming from. Simon Miller, who's from Britain, made a very non-Britain biased comment about Ogogo to give Ogogo the victory because it would pump up Ogogo. But I don't think Ogogo lost anything in this. That's me personally. I don't think he lost anything because he looked incredible. And it was all about dodging his fist. And then he throws out a frog splash. Like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah. Yeah. And a killer one at that.
Yeah.
78%
it was really well done.
blind guy is doing a frog splash and a really, really great frog. It reminded me, well, I had this odd moment of like at WrestleMania where Bad Bunny looked amazing in his match. And it's like,
The
how does
dude pulled off a destroyer on the outside. Thank you, John Morrison.
yes, we
Good
are eternally
Lord.
grateful to you, John Morrison, for taking it. But Bad Bunny looked phenomenal. It kind of had this similar feeling,
It
like
does,
somebody
but-
who shouldn't be able to do that just did that.
Well,
Yeah.
and apparently Anthony Ogogo's been training for 20 months, 18 months,
Yeah.
something along those lines. And
Okay.
he just got a pretty high-profile match with Cody Rhodes. And it was a good match.
It was a good match.
Of the matches so far, it's probably the
weakest.
Yeah.
The weakest.
Or the second
Which is
weakest.
hard to say when you're in a camp of steroid-ridden, I'm talking about, like...
Please don't kill us, Cody.
Oh, I'm not saying... No, I just mean, like,
Oh, the rest
when you're in a gym full of steroid people, you look for the small guy. That's kind of the equivalent. It's like, this was the small guy. Still impressive, but yeah.
All right, now on the opposite end of small guys,
Yeah.
the next match was the TNT Championship,
Yeah.
where Miro,
Oh, my
the
gosh.
former Rusev, defeats Lance Archer
Yeah.
in the big man versus big man.
And
I'm going to beat you up.
That's all they did was they just beat the mess. I think the way, I know we keep calling back to our new best friend Simon Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
from
by the way.
White Culture Wrestling, our new best friend podcast.
Hi, BFF.
But he said it was basically two huge pieces of meat smacking against each other, and that is probably the best
So perfect.
summary of that match I can think of. It's just two huge dudes beating the ever-loving mess out of each
Snot
other.
out of each
It
other.
was. And
And then Jake Roberts trying to get some shenanigans in there.
Yes, yeah, with the, you
Only
gotta
to
have
have
the
his-
snake.
Only to have
snake
it.
thrown
snake.
20 feet away.
Yep.
And I loved how they were like, "Oh, that's so." What was they were like? It's so gross. I can't believe that was terrible. I can't believe you did that. I'm like, if there's a snake in the ring,
Yeah.
you want to get it out of the ring,
There ain't no
announcers.
snake
I
in
mean, that
bag.
seems common
They're
sense
not gonna.
to me.
They're not gonna hurl a snake 30 feet
No.
across an arena.
Thank
with
you.
people
He
in
brought
it.
the same snake out that Earthquake squished.
Yeah, exactly.
That said, I am all for the pass out finish in this because
Yeah.
having Miro
Yes.
hit the game over and Lance not tapping out but passing out means
Right.
Lance is still strong. Miro keeps the title.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
it's the same as the
Stone Cold finish.
Stone Cold
Yep.
Bret Hart finish.
Yep.
He never taps out. Why does he never tap out? Because he's so stubborn that he literally passed out in the ring because of loss of blood.
Yep.
Right. But
he still
did
lost.
not give
he
up.
still lost, but he did not give up. Right? Yeah.
Because giving up is the act that looks weaker,
Right.
and someone who
Absolutely.
doesn't give up still has a strong face, which
Yeah.
The next match has Hikaru Shida the AEW Women's World Champion, who had held it for over 378 days, I think, longest reign of all champions in AEW up to this point. Which I don't care that they've only been around 3 years. The fact that she's held the title for a third of its existence,
Yeah,
especially during
crazy.
2020.
and during a pandemic, like she gets just as much props as Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
oh gosh, who was the other Universal Champion? I know Roman had it towards the end. I cannot believe I'm forgetting who that is right now. But the other Universal Champion,
The Miz?
but those champions that carried us through the pandemic,
Yeah.
she gets all the credit in the world. But she had to face Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Show
And
out for the doctors right there,
right.
Dr. Baker.
Finally-
One doc to another.
Britt Baker gets the victory over Hikaru Shida. And I know that they had wrestled in the past, and I know that Shida had really carried such a long time, but Britt Baker is probably the breakout women's star, if not the breakout
I would
star.
say. I mean, I'm thinking. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would say of their unless you're going to compare to MJF.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where things get kind of a, but Britt went
But I mean,
from,
almost on the same level as MJF.
Yeah.
Like just fantastic.
Yeah.
she went from being the very clean baby face, which was fine. That was working, but the fans weren't buying into her as
Yep.
much as they were to Riho, just
Right.
as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
To the role model,
Oh,
and
it's
very
brilliant.
much leaning into her. I'm a dentist, I'm a doctor, and I'm a wrestler, and she's the best. And
And
her
I'm better than all of you.
Oh my God, her
That's
lockjaw
shit,
finisher.
That is so like that's a Bobby Heenan thing right there,
It
man.
is.
I'm so much better than every one of you
Well, and
people
she
out here.
keeps-
Well,
call-
and MJF, it reminds me of the whole I'm better than I'm better
Yeah.
than you and you know it. Just anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll
It's
get to
still good.
MJF.
I know. Oh, don't worry. Yeah, that's true.
The fact that she keeps calling Rebel Reba just it's so funny, and so much so that Rebel has a shirt now that says Rebel, not Reba. It's just
Yeah.
great.
That's awesome.
But props to both of these women. There were shenanigans, opportunities that worked both for and against Britt, but in the end, the lockjaw got the win.
Yeah.
And the best part of that was apparently Tony Schiavone had promised Britt Baker that if you win the AEW Women's World Championship, I will give you a hug. And he stepped out on you heard Jim Ross go, oh, there goes Schiavone, because he took his headset off, stepped up onto the ramp, and when Britt got to the entrance ramp, he gave her a hug.
That's cool.
It was fantastic.
That's cool.
Very much that father-daughter
That's a
type
classy
moment.
dude right
It's
there.
So
Yes.
good. So I watch that match and definitely keep an eye out for Britt Baker, because the new era has begun.
Well, there's a picture of her on social media with her belt in her dentist scrubs.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
like
awesome.
she was in black
took it
scrubs.
to
She was at
work.
work. She took it to work, and
I
of
mean,
course, she doesn't know makeup. She's
why
like,
wouldn't
I
you?
mean-
Because, geez.
Oh, I mean, hello. Why wouldn't
it's
she
not
take it to work and show
It's not
everybody?
like her boyfriend, fiance.
Fiancé.
He doesn't have a
fiancé now?
belt yet.
Oh,
Currently,
Baby.
currently,
Baby.
baby.
By the way, they are. She is
looking-
engaged to Adam Cole.
Yes,
Yes,
that is,
there you
yeah,
go.
that's where that
that's where that comes from.
he did look Karrion Cross dead in the face the other day, though, and
Yeah, he
that's
did.
exciting for me.
Fatal 5-way for the NXT Takeover. Oh,
He's so good.
conversation.
Anyway,
Anyways,
we're not wrestling fans.
no, not at all.
Not in the slightest.
My goodness, we still have 3 matches to go,
Oh,
and
God.
we are 38 minutes in. So
Okay.
this is awesome. We just keep going. Okay, so
I would say we have to blaze through these, but literally, no.
no
Actually, we don't.
Sting and Darby Allen
Oh man,
versus
that's really all you have to say.
Yeah.
Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The star of this match, which you would have thought going in was going to be Darby Allen, because Darby
Yes.
Allen
Yeah.
has absolutely no care for his body at all.
Yeah.
apparently.
He's
Yeah.
another person who's just nuts in AEW.
And if you don't think it's going to be Darby, you might think it's Ethan Page, because Ethan Page is the new star. He's all ego. He's all smiles.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
no.
No.
It is
No.
definitely Sting,
Yes, the icon himself.
who apparently has lost 0 step. And
Yeah.
though he did need to take his breaks, which is why he's very successful inside this tag match.
Yes.
Not only did he take a suplex onto the stage and no sell it to then jump off of said stage onto Sky and Page. He wins the match by catching Scorpio Sky midair from a cutter, much like he did to Diamond Dallas Page when he won the World Championship, and dropped him with a Scorpion Death Drop.
Yeah.
What?
Sting is amazing.
What?
Yep.
He's 60.
It defies logic.
I
Not
think he's
62.
62.
Is
Yeah.
he? He's elite. Oh,
And
no.
I made
he's
this
better than he has any right to be.
I made this comment to Josh that Sting is in.
What?
I'm not going to say he's in the best shape of his life
59.
because he's he's in his 60s, but
Yeah.
He's just turned 62.
Yeah.
Like in March.
But I am going to say that the condition of Sting in this match
man.
reminded me so much of Ric Flair in his retirement match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania.
And that's a good
Because
thing.
yeah, because he looked fantastic.
Good.
And
Yeah.
he looked fantastic as in his physique looked great. The storyline leading up to it was incredible.
Yeah.
Because it was the whole if you lose a match, you're done.
Yeah.
And
For-
he did,
for Rick,
For
yes.
Rick, that's what I mean. Like
Right.
if you lose a match, then you're done. And
Yeah.
then basically Rick was like, "Well, if I'm going to go out, then the person I want my Mania match to be against is Shawn."
Yeah.
And it was, not necessarily equivalent in storyline,
No.
but in impact, I
Yeah.
feel like very much that same type of match, that same type of execution, and that same type of care to really see, a rising star in Darby Allen. And being
Ethan
pushed
Page.
to the freaking moon by Sting
And Sky.
himself.
Yeah.
Scorpio Sky,
Well, yeah.
I think, is in his 40s now, and
Yeah.
he's still real. Like
He doesn't look like he's in
Not
his
at all.
40s.
No.
It's crazy.
No.
Sting he's always been a favorite wrestler. I know he's
Yeah.
like your favorite wrestler of all time.
He's
right?
if I had to bring them all down to one, it would be him.
That's fair.
He would be my guy.
But he looked as good as he did in TNA,
Yep.
and had he not gotten hurt against Seth Rollins, which again, no one's fault.
Yeah.
It very much was one of those. It still annoys me that we never got Sting and Taker, because
Yeah.
that was if he
That's
was
it.
in that shape.
That's it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Sting and Taker, Sting and Bray.
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
opportunities there. But
So
now
many.
we're getting other opportunities.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see.
And good ones. I mean,
He's got to be having a
Good
blast.
ones.
Like I can only I
and
can only
Darby.
imagine what it must have been.
Darby
after
is
that.
so
Yeah.
much fun to watch. That dude is insane.
He's ridiculous.
He's insane.
Darby Allen is ridiculous
and,
too.
and he continues to get better.
Yeah.
And he's an overall nice guy, by the way.
Yeah.
His
Yes.
autograph.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
right. You got a
I've
chance to
never
meet
met
him and
him.
talk to him.
It was I have an artistic version of the TNT Championship, but I put it on the red leather because I liked it on the red leather, and I bought it before Brody Lee passed away. And and then Squared Circle Expo happened the Friday and Saturday after Darby lost the TNT title to Miro. So I almost
Which
didn't take it.
I remember thinking to myself, oh, well, I wonder if Josh is going to take his title to go and have Darby sign it.
I did,
Yeah.
and he said he was proud to have the title.
That's cool.
And I know that he had a relationship with Brody as well, and he really honored that
Yeah.
championship, and especially towards the end of that particular reign, which I have a feeling we'll see another reign for him for that. But towards the end of that, he was defending like every week.
Oh yeah.
And
it became the WCW television
Yeah, it
title.
did. And just Darby Allen is another one of those major players that I really suspect a world championship is in his future. I don't know if it's any sooner than a gentleman in the next match, which was the Pac, the Bastard,
Oh my gosh.
versus Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega, the Big Bout Machine, and AEW World's Champion and Impact World Champion and TNA World Champion and AAA Mega Champion.
if you're counting,
That's four belts right now. But
Kenny 4 belts.
Kenny, 4 belts.
This AEW triple threat match had everything you would expect of a triple threat match with a heel champion at the helm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Good Brothers got involved. There were
Lots of
titles that got involved.
shenanigans. Yeah.
Pac was jumping off of things. He was doing moves again that we didn't know were possible. He was catching Kenny in the Brutalizer, but the star was not those guys.
Yeah.
Not the guys with every ounce of talent that ever possibly existed. No. The star was the guy who doesn't care to be there.
Right.
Orange Cassidy.
Orange, freshly squeezed.
That was his shtick. Now, again, Kenny Omega wins this match.
Yeah.
But a half a second difference between the last minute of the match would have been a different story. Because Orange Cassidy had Kenny Omega beat at least once when it was Don Callis who pulled the ref out.
Yeah.
And then the second time he had him down after an excellent orange punch, which again, what a great phrase, what a great name for the Superman punch. Aubry Edwards, the greatest referee in professional wrestling right now.
Doesn't
the other person we
doesn't
want
she
to
have
get
an
that.
action figure?
She's getting
coming
an
up?
action-
That's
She's
what
getting
I
an action
thought.
figure.
That's
She's
awesome.
Getting it in the scale, like I already have the scale wrestling ring. They're getting a Double or Nothing wrestling ring, and she's in that set.
Nice.
She should be in her own set, Ringside Collectibles.
Yeah, she should.
Mainly just so Josh doesn't have to buy another ring.
Thank you, please, and thank you.
I don't know.
Says the
Make that
doctor.
one show up for
There you go.
Joe and Danny, or whatever.
There you go.
Anywho, Aubry Edwards goes to count the 3 for Orange Cassidy, and on 2, Kenny Omega hooks a crucifix.
Yeah.
Not the greatest move in all of professional wrestling.
No.
Most dangerous move.
No.
But close.
Close.
And Kenny Omega grabs a 3 count on a crucifix.
Yeah.
Everyone is knocked out except Orange Cassidy, and yet Orange Cassidy manages to lose because Kenny Omega is as smart as he is.
Because Kenny Omega, man.
Yeah.
Because it's Kenny Omega.
And man, the crowd was, they were so behind Orange Cassidy.
yeah.
Like I'm amped up right now.
Right. Just talking about it.
What a great ending.
But Kenny Omega can take all that heat that's going to come from beating
wants
in
it.
that way. Exactly.
It's not about taking it. He
Which
wants
I love it.
it.
He wants it, and it's coming at him, and it's fantastic because he's using it to fuel Kenny Four Belts. That's not his name. That's what I'm going to call
now.
him.
You are Kenny Full.
You are Kenny Four Belts. But he uses that, and oh my gosh, it was, I don't know. I love it when they can take the energy of the crowd, and it was so good. I don't know. It was just so good. It was what it was supposed to be. Even when Kenny Omega, the heel, won, it was, the match was built so well. I can tell they took a lot of thought to get the timing right, to get the rhythm right, to make sure that it was, I don't know, the timing of it, the speed, the precision. You can tell they cared about building it. It was not lazy any way, shape, or form. Anyway.
Now we come to the crowd.
Yes.
Now we come to the true main event of this show.
The star
And-
of the show.
Well,
The real star.
the main event, the star, whatever
The
you wanna
X
call it.
Factor.
Yes.
The Stadium Stampede,
Oh
the
my gosh.
inner circle of Chris Jericho, Proud and Powerful, Jake Hager, and Sammy Guevara versus the Four Horsemen. I mean, the pinnacle of MJF, Wardlow, FTR, and Sean Spears, the chairman. And man, the best thing I heard was Brian Alvarez from the Wrestling Observer said that Stadium Stampede was 2020 in a wrestling match because it started in the empty arena with a fight between
Yeah.
a few people.
Yeah.
They then broke off to their own little areas and were fighting each other all over the stadium, including a dramatic chair fight, like a choreographed chair fight between Sammy and Sean.
Yep.
What?
Wardlow and Jake Hager were fighting in a freezer.
Chris Jericho was getting pummeled to death by a telephone.
Yes.
He was, but at another point, they then
Did you
met-
mention the fight? There was a fight in a nightclub too, wasn't
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
So that was a tag team fight,
It's a
which
tag-
a
right.
great reference there with Conan as the DJ, who
Yeah.
was the manager of LAX, which were
LAX,
proud and
yeah.
powerful. But probably the funniest part of all the backstage shenanigans was when they got to the coach's room and the new Jacksonville Jaguar coach, Urban Meyer,
Yep.
is there.
He's
and
there.
He gives Jericho a football, who then throws
Oh,
it in JF.
didn't he throw him like 3
Yeah,
footballs
yep.
and then hit him with a laptop?
Yeah, hit him with an old Dell laptop.
Oh my god.
They made a funny reference
Sorry,
to Shad
Del.
Khan, who's Tony's dad.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Isn't he?
it all
He's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it all culminates with Jericho and MJF coming into the crowd, and Jericho puts MJF through this kind of structure that looks an awful lot like the same structure that Jericho went through when he fell off the blood and guts cage.
Amazing.
And Sammy Guevara and Sean Spears end up in the ring.
Can I just say, prior to that, Sammy Guevara definitely got his payback by running over Sean Spears with a golf cart.
Oh, absolutely, he did. There was so much redemption.
Oh, it's so good.
Sammy Guevara.
Oh, it's so good.
And with Sammy Guevara having to do the he surrendered and still got Jericho thrown off the cage, and Jericho fighting the whole night with a busted up, dislocated elbow.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's going to be going on a Fozzy tour, so he needs a break anyways.
Yeah.
But it's Sammy Guevara getting the win over Sean Spears. And that's amazing. There were emotional things there. Stadium Stampede from 2020 was probably a little bit better than this one, but the ending was so much better because the Inner Circle or Chris Jericho's music, Fozzy's Judas, starts playing, and as they've been known to do here recently, as they get to this like second chorus, they'll dial the music down and let whatever fans are in the building start singing. Yeah. And this was the first time that they'd been full for a pay-per-view. They were full on Friday night, but they were full for the pay-per-view. And there are on Twitter for sure, like I'm looking at it right now, we'll probably watch it after recording. There is just a scene of the Inner Circle celebrating, Jake Hager going crazy, but all the mics basically are tuned right to the fans, and they're singing Judas.
Oh yeah, it's so cool.
It made it probably the most kind of hope-giving thing of that weekend. For us, seeing Elio Castroneves win his fourth race, first time a four-time winner in 30 years.
Elio 4 cups.
Elio 4 cup. Elio 4 rings.
Four rings.
They get this beautiful ring for everyone. And AJ, and they all wear them together. All the four-timers will wear them like that as their 4 rings.
And then
got to get one for his thumb.
Yeah, well, if he gets 5, they got to fit it on there somehow.
Then to see the Inner Circle get the win, Sammy Guevara get his redemption, and see. We saw 135,000 people at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we saw 5,000 people at Dowley's Place.
And the people at the Speedway were just so excited for Elio. I can tell you because I was there. People were climbing the fences to try to show him how much they were excited. Elio's thing is he climbs the fence after he wins because he's just excitable. They can't comment. He's Spider-Man. And so the fans climb the fences all around. And that was the thing, is everyone was trying to climb the fence, and the security people didn't stop him, which was amazing. And there was just that much joy and that much, we can't get to you, but if it was the feeling of, we could get down and hug you, we would. If we could flood we totally would. And that was kind of the feeling that you got from Double or Nothing too, is that, if we could, actually give every single one of you a high five, or give every single one of you, a fist bump for this.
Yep. Thank you for making it through. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you for not giving up.
It was awesome
to see the Inner Circle in the show, flipping the camera off. We're not going to do that because we tried to stay family friendly.
Right.
No, we're not.
But I'm not going to lie, I want to.
Just to say,
not for anything to you, but just for the memory.
Good job, guys.
So that was Double or Nothing 2021.
Wow.
If you've not ordered it, if you've not watched it, please do so. Don't pirate it. Do it the right way. It's on BR Live. It's $40-$50, something along those lines.
Support them with their money.
And if you want to wait a little bit, they'll release it on DVD, and you can get it through shopaew.com.
Yeah, absolutely.
Either way, go look up the clips. They're going to be showing them, but it's worth the money. And apparently, it's real close, if not already past their second highest pay-per-view buy rate.
That's awesome.
Nice. Good.
I've not gotten to the stuff about action figures, but we're almost an hour.
Wow.
So we should probably finish up.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We need to be
fine
quiet.
with that. Yeah. Man, it was a good show.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
It was a really good show, and I'm excited to see the new stuff that's going to come down the pipeline. I feel like Double or Nothing is, at least because AEW does what they do. Do they do a big 4 now? They
are doing 4 pay-per-views,
right,
and probably 4 television specials.
Okay,
and in 2022, when they move to TBS, it will definitely be 4 pay-per-views and 4 TNT specials. Will be their year.
Cool. Well, that's awesome because
That's great.
I mean they're setting themselves up to be a long-lasting company and experience, and that's really what I'm excited for. We're going to get into, in probably a future episode or two, some of our less positive perspectives
There are
on
discussion
professional
points.
wrestling. Yes.
So many discussion points.
Yeah. That's why we decided we wanted to make this a really exciting
We're
and
smiles.
positive, because we
We're
have a lot
smiles.
of complaints about the world of wrestling entertainment. Yeah,
I see what you did there.
you know. But anyway, no established fact,
No,
because this is the stable. We don't do that here.
We don't do that here.
But what we do
What do we do?
is a 3 count. So our 3 count for episode number 3 of the stable is: what culture is soon to be the stable's best friends? One. That's right. Kenny, 4 belts. 2. And nothing beats a live crowd. 3. Ding, ding, ding. We'll check you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.